proportionally, they all will be given the capital punishment. If it is 20 people who are there and all of them join to have this man killed, all of them will be given the capital punishment. If one single man kills many, and the relatives of the victim claim their right to punish the offender, he alone will be killed for all the victims. Because he doesn't know what he has to kill, so he alone will be. When the capital punishment has to be inflicted on a convicted person, it is usually done in a public place for everyone to see, so that it will prevent others from thinking of committing such a heinous crime in the future. That is one reason why punishment is inflicted. To tell the people, listen, you are committing a crime against humanity and you stand responsible. And if incidents should occur in which you need to show patience and perseverance, remember, if you lose your cool, you can lose your life too. So be careful. The other acts for which the death penalty is prescribed is crimes committed against the humanity or against the state. Well, we have all the theological prescriptions for conviction and for the application of the law. Allah says in the Quran, the punishment of those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive with might and main for mischief through the land is execution, or crucifixion, or the cutting off of hands and feet from opposite sides, or exile. Allah says this is the punishment. So if you don't want to be punished, don't let it go. Crime is often regarded as an individual aggression against the community. Perhaps this is one reason why Allah says in the Holy Quran, do not take the life which Allah made sacred, except by way of justice and the law. So don't try to take life, because you didn't take the life. Except you have to execute justice, or you have to observe the law. In those cases, it is permissible. Chapter 6, verse 151. Islam never prescribes punishment haphazardly, nor does it administer the law without due consideration. The main question is this: before deciding whether or not a criminal should be punished, we must determine the extent of his responsibility for the offense committed. On studying a crime, Islam takes into account two considerations at the same time: the viewpoint of the criminal and that of the community against which the aggression took place. In the light of its considerations, Islam prescribes the fear punishment, which is in accordance with the dictates of sound logic and wise reasoning. Sometimes the activities of the leaders of some tribes in certain parts of the East may appear to be Islamic, but it may not necessarily be in conformity with Islamic theology. For example, you had in the newspaper some time ago the punishment that was given to a woman that was convicted of something was to be raped by so many men. That is not Islam. That might be tribal culture or custom, but not Islam. Although it might be associated with the Muslim people from some parts of the world. Islam imposes preventative punishments, which may appear cruel or coarse if viewed superficially or without proper consideration. But it does not execute such punishments unless it ascertains that the crime was not justifiable, or that the criminal was not acting under any obligation. For example, the punishment for stealing is to cut off the hand. Right? That is the punishment for stealing. But there was a time of famine in the time of Hazrat Umar, and the people were forced because of hardship, to steal food items. He did not impose the punishment to such people. Another case, some workers, well, I'm not saying workers should do this, but some workers in a particular place, they have their own camera, one of the cameras, and they kill it and they go in and eat. So when the matter was brought up before the Khalifa, he ordered that their hands should be cut. But when he heard the reason why the boss was not paying the people, he was starving them and so on, he forbore the punishment. They were not punished. Their hands were not cut. So you see, Islam will look at necessity with conditions, with all these things before a punishment is actually prescribed. Islam also opposes, and this is something very well, I'm glad the Honorable Minister mentioned something about it, speedy process of carrying out justice. If today you kill tomorrow you should be put to death, or as quickly as possible. Don't wait for 10 years before the matter comes up, and another 10 years before the punishment is prescribed and all this. In the meantime, so much of manipulation behind the scene can take place. Witnesses can disappear. Evidence can go out of circulation. This can happen. All these things can happen. Islam wants those things to be avoided. Right? Islam also makes provision in the law where the aggrieved person can have a say in deciding the fate of the convict. If the death penalty has to be ordered, and it allows for compensation, but that is Dr. Musa's paper, and you will be hearing about it. And it allows for compensation to the victim's family, something which can be beneficial to the victims, especially if the murdered person was the breadwinner in a family. What happens when the breadwinner is killed? What does the state do about it? Let us say in Trinidad, to the family of the aggrieved person. I don't think we have anything in law for that, except Parliament may now put something in place, whatever Ministry of Justice, and we will see that justice prevails. One thing remains certain, and that is, anyone who willfully violates the revealed laws of Allah will be responsible for the consequences. And if it necessitates the taking of the life of such a person, the law must be upheld, and punishment will have to be prescribed. There are those who may advocate the abolition of the death penalty, but this is not possible in Islam, as the laws that define during ordained. If we have to say to change the laws, so many laws would have been changed, but the law remains supreme in Islam, and no matter who he may be, has the authority or the right to change even one dot of the law, as is prescribed by Allah in the Quran. According to the principle of Islamic theology, then, now listen to this carefully, don't get confused. To forbid what is not forbidden is forbidden. To forbid what is not forbidden is forbidden. And if you allow what is forbidden, that is also forbidden. You cannot allow, right? As a result, it is impossible to make a case for the abolition of the death penalty, which is explicitly endorsed in Islam in the cases mentioned. Thank you, and may Allah bless us all.
Very much, Dr. Waffie.